Have you been watching the news lately? Have you been wondering what is going on with Iran? Does this fold into or fit in with Bible prophecy? Is God trying to do something right now? Is God allowing things to happen? Is He staging the events for the end times? We're going to talk about that today. Hey guys, it's great to see you guys again. I'm going to do a different kind of video today. Hope you enjoy it. It's going to be, what's really, for your information, it's about Iran and biblical prophecy. Because there's a lot of questions that are out there right now. A lot of people want to know what is going on. Iran is continually escalating things, and there's different perspectives on that. But they are continually pushing the envelope. And the question is, how does this fit in with the end times? How is this going to contribute to the big picture? Is Iran a major picture in the end times? And so it's important to look at that and see what the Bible does say, because it does mention Iran specifically in the Bible and in the end times. And as you look in prophecy, you look in Revelation, there's a lot of speculation with a lot of different things. People wonder, what if the Muslims are the main religion of the Antichrist? Well, then Iran would definitely play in that role. But then again, there's a lot of passages that allude to a religion that centers in Rome, which may not be Muslim, and it may be more of a pluralistic type religion. And so it may not be the Muslim religion. And so that may or may not be it. There's also references to Babylon, where people would say, oh, well, that points to the Muslim religion. And then there's also references to Rome and how that works. And so I'm not going to get into any of those today, because a lot of that's speculation. There is one thing in the Bible that talks specifically, mentions Persia, which is Iran, in the end times, and it's out of Ezekiel chapter 38 and 39. It's an ancient prophecy that has not been fulfilled. It's in the Old Testament, and it definitely seems to be something different than Armageddon, and different than a lot of the things that some people have thought that it is in the past. And I'm not going to read the whole passage out of Ezekiel 38 and 39, because there's a lot there and there's a lot of detail, and if I really dissected that over video, it would take either a lot of different videos or an hour or so of video. And so instead, I'm going to give you the meat and potatoes of Iran and the end times off of this passage, so that you can be informed and be ready with that. And as we look in there in Ezekiel chapter 38, it begins to paint the picture of an alliance of nations that gathers together. And within those nations, there's a reference to Gog and Magog, which is Russia. And Gog seems to be the leader of Magog, which Magog is Russia, and Gog is the leader of Russia. There's also a reference to Persia in there, which is Iran, in that alliance as well. Cush, which is Ethiopia, and Put, which is Libya. And so all these countries form an alliance, and they seem to try to go against Israel, try to form some type of sneak attack against Israel. And as they get together, it's interesting, because it mentions that the battle that where they attack is not Jerusalem. It's not the Valley of Megiddo, which is Armageddon. Instead, it's in the northern mountains it talks about in that passage. And so it definitely doesn't seem to align with a lot of other interpretations of what it could be. It seems that it's a separate battle that this particular passage talks about, that's different from a lot of the other, in fact, all the other Revelation mentionings of the end times within the tribulation. And so they go again. They try to make a sneak attack, and it's as if in this passage it talks about how God will bring them against Israel. So it's as if God puts it in their mind to come together against Israel and to do this sneak attack. And they're wanting to do it. I don't know. It seems, I don't know if they're agitated. There's definitely mention in the passage in multiple places of taking the plunder from Israel, which Israel's a very wealthy nation right now. And so that makes sense, wanting to come and take their wealth. But there may be something more. With Iran and the issues that are going on right now, Iran is extremely agitated at both the U.S. and Israel. And that agitation and that hatred towards Israel goes way back, many, many centuries, back to biblical times. But there definitely seems to be an escalation of this tension, and it's as if they don't have the power to do a full attack or a full strike at us, but a sneak attack on Israel, the U.S.'s closest ally. That is absolutely foreseeable, and would definitely be a significant possibility. And this passage is talking about that, how they get together and they try to sneak attack Israel, Iran and Russia, Libya and Ethiopia, and there's a mention of another nation. Actually, it's southern Russia as well. But they all get together and try to do that. And it says it will happen in the last days. In this passage, in chapter 38, verse 16, it talks about how it will be they use those terms in the last days, and so we know that it's going to be towards the end of the world. And a lot of people think, oh, well, that means tribulation automatically. But there's some things in it that talk about how it seems to be at the very beginning of the tribulation that this happens. It talks about how after God defeats them, the spears and the clubs from the nations are going to be able to be used for 7 years. And so that 7-year time frame, it definitely points to a 7-year tribulation period. So this battle would happen right at the very beginning of the tribulation. It also talks about how it's after the establishment of Israel as a nation. And so we know that, of course, Israel was established as a nation much earlier on, about 80 years ago. And so it's been a nation for a while. So now we're in the window of the possibility of fulfillment of this particular war. And so it seems that for more reasons that this is at the beginning of the tribulation. And part of the reason why we see in the beginning of the tribulation is in multiple places in the Bible, it talks about how Israel's eyes are going to be opened after the fullness of the Gentiles come in. And Israel will be God's nation again. And the witnesses, the 144,000 witnesses that go out will be Jews. And that comes because of an awakening of Israel. And we see that as a result of this sneak attack that Iran and Russia and these nations do on Israel. God uses it. God defends Israel in this particular event in order to be able to get their attention and reveal that He is still their God and that Jesus is the Messiah. It talks about in chapter 39, verse 13, that He does it for God to display His glory and for Israel to know that Yahweh is God, chapter 39, verse 22. And He does it to reveal Himself. And so it's as if they don't see God properly right now, and they don't, because they don't see God through His Son, Jesus. And so this war is going to open their eyes in order to receive Jesus, and then they will become what God intends them to be during the tribulation, His chosen people, as they see His Son. And so God is going to use this battle to bring Israel to Him. That's His purposes, and that's why He puts it in the mind of this alliance of nations to come and sneak attack Israel, why He defends them, because in the passage it talks about how He defends them without them even lifting a finger. It talks about He uses earthquakes and volcanoes in order to be able to defend them, it seems like. And so all natural things that He causes, and they will know that He is God as a result of these things. And it talks about the earthquakes and volcanoes in chapter 38, verses 19 to 20. And as this happens, God will get their attention. But as you see the global scene right now with Iran and Russia and Syria being continually more and more united, and the possibility of just a couple more countries entering this alliance, they could even join just for this battle. And that would be enough to be able to have this prophecy happen. This could happen very, very soon. And so we need to think about that when we keep seeing all the things going on with Iran right now. And so what are some things to watch for as this prophecy comes closer and closer to being fulfilled? Well, number one, we need to watch the alliances, as I talked about, with Iran and Russia, Syria, and see if there's something that develops also with Ethiopia and Libya as well. See if they're able to come in within that alliance, or if we see that at all. We also need to watch for this continued hostility towards both us and Israel. As that builds, that increases the chances for this surprise attack that happens in malice and anger against the U.S. and Israel, especially against Israel. And so we'll be able to see that happening. And so as you watch the news and you continue to watch things unfold with Iran, and of course there's a kind of a conundrum that we as Christians get under, because we see these things happen and we know as things are unfolding, this is God's hand. God says this stuff's going to happen. And so do we pray for peace, or do we just allow God's will and just assume God's will is going to happen? And I think that it never hurts to pray for God's will in a situation, and it never hurts to pray for that situation and pray for the nation of Israel. That absolutely seems to be a godly thing to do. But at the same hand, know in the back of your mind that God is at work, and God is at work in a great way right now, and that He is going to do some amazing things very soon. The signs of the times are here, and so I encourage you to watch out for that. Have a great night.